Hey, before we get into some of the guides and playstyles Aemeath have to show us, I just need to get something out of my chest. Then no other words can describe this. Aemeath is one of the best characters to have ever existed, to have ever released in Wuthering Waves. Just from her story quest alone, that is clearly the best cliffhanger Kuro could possibly deliver, and some players are still recovering from it. But her gameplay, cherry on top. It's not something you will come across in a gacha game. A gacha game. It's that good. Sometimes I really underestimate what these gacha companies can do. Now let's get into her playstyle, themes, and sequences. If you are new here, I pretty much tend to skip the how do you build these characters ever since Kuro basically made signatures echo sets for each character's releases. And as for Aemeath, she gets 2. Wow. If you play her in the Fusion Burst team, use the Chromatic Foam. And as for the Toon Rupture team, use the Trailblazing Star. It's pretty obvious which one is made for, especially if the Trailblazing have the heart-shaped icon similar to her chest logo. Now for the weapons are usually something I tend to not go into as much, but Aemeath on the other hand, she has a very decent choice from using her signature. If you don't have enough currencies to pull for it, you can just use the standard weapon, and because she can use the skill so many times within just seconds, you will get a 100% uptime of the standard weapon effect. I think that's really cool. I think she's probably one of the few characters that can actually make use of this effect. Like for example, I use this standard weapon for Chuyuan, and Chuyuan can only use one skill in, I don't know, 10-12 seconds. This cooldown is so long. Meanwhile, Aemeath, she doesn't have any cooldown for her skill. She doesn't have any cooldown at all. It's great. Now as for her playstyle, it's not as complex as you think. First time I tried it, yeah, it's pretty mind-blown. I have no idea what I'm doing, but it's actually very straightforward. As you just pay attention to your forte gauge fills up, then press the skill. Use your ult as soon as you can, as soon as it fills up. Some would use for animation cancel to play optimally here and there, but I'm not like that unfortunately. But honestly, you can play according to your comfortability. After the ult, you will gain some forte gauge. It's in the form of star icon. And after that, you focus on using the skill from time to time whenever it lights up through your basic attack. And that's about it. And if my explanation is unclear, here's a video for you to understand it clearer. Okay, to put it simply, this is how you play Aemeath. I'm not gonna start the fight yet, but you have to do your basic attack and then the icon change and then you switch to E. Let's do this again. Icon change and then she does her attack, right? This is a skill animation, but you can't use that without enemies. If you don't have any enemies in the battle, you won't get any stars in your forte. So we'll just have to try it right here. Do some attacks, and then we switch, and then you will gain like some sort of bar increase in your forte gauge. If we do more, when the bar is like lit up already, you will have this animation. And that is how you keep going on and on and on. But you won't get the big ult unless you do your Resonance Liberation. And as you do this, you will get another star. But if you do it before there's like the 2 star in the forte gauge, you will gain like an extra star instead. So let's try doing another skill right here. Because the bar from the forte is already lit up, I get the animation right away. Let's do this again. I can keep going, attack, basic attack until it's lit up. There you go. And then we can do the ult animation. Bam, just like that. And then this is how you play optimally. Now this is where S1 comes to play, because oh boy, they made S1 Aemeath gameplay a lot more smoother. I didn't pull for S1, okay? S1, if you are poor, you are broke, no shame in that. I'm kind of in a similar situation right now with so many characters coming along the way, right? Best I can suggest is to stop at S1 because I believe this is how Aemeath is meant to be played. I did not get her S1, like I said, but I will. Trust. This sequence gave you extra crit damage and most importantly, QOL for your team rotation. S0 Aemeath, you have to do her basic attack a bit too long. You just stab the enemy from time to time. It's taking a bit so long, right? Okay. And then to build your forte gauge to do the animation skill. And of course, it does make the gameplay a bit repetitive. And it also led you to missing some buffs that you got from your supports during your nuke because you spent so much time doing your basic attack that you miss a lot of attack from your skills and Resonance Liberation. But with S1, you get extra points by doing your basic attack and you build up the forte gauge a lot faster. This way you get to your final ult in just seconds. S1 is that good, and like I said, it's not just a QOL, you also get an extra crit damage. As for S2, it is decent but not the best. Merely a damage increase. It's just a bridge for you to get to S3, which I recommend to be the stopping point for those who can afford. Yeah, good luck getting that. Now look, I am also very tempted to getting this as well because I want to go for S3 in the future, sooner or later. But I need to resist at least until we get the collab out of the way. Reasons why S3 is good is because she can now inflict the Fusion Burst or Toon Rupture through her heavy attack. It's a big improvement in her attack for sure. One of the reasons I even pulled for S3 Cartethyia is basically the same thing. Cartethyia doesn't provide that much arrow erosion, and just like Aemeath here, she doesn't provide that much Toon Rupture or Fusion Burst. For the Toon Shifting, you're gonna need Lynae and Mornye. For the Fusion Burst, you're gonna need Lupa or Chisa. It's kind of ridiculous and it's very, very expensive. This is why for me, S3 will be the right choice for me. But that is just gonna come probably in the future. I'm not gonna go for it right now. It's kind of risky. I'm not gonna go into S4 and S5 because they're just stepping stones for you to get to S6. That is, I believe, the current strongest sequence in the game. If you go into Pridewind and you look at the calculation, even if you don't believe Pridewind is accurate enough, you will see from S0 to S6, Aemeath have tripled her damage. Need I say more? Even if you don't believe this Pridewind or this third-party website, you're probably just gonna see that damage increase. It's kind of huge, isn't it? Besides, if you're going for S4, you're probably a gig away already, so I'm not gonna even touch on that. As for the teams, Aemeath is very versatile. She can be played in a lot of teams. With the Lupa and Chisa is one of her best teams, mainly because Lupa is the main buffer for Mono Fusion, and because Lupa is in the team and she can just buff any other unit that is Fusion, you can just replace Chisa with any other characters like Changli, Brand, or of course Mornye would be the right choice here. Moving on to the next team, the Lynae and Mornye team being her best in slot team, because of Lynae's Ultra buff giving a huge chunk of Resonance Liberation buff, and Aemeath, I don't know if I mentioned this or not yet, her main damage is considered as Resonance Liberation. And of course, you can easily switch the support Mornye with any other units like Chisa, Verena, or Shopkeeper. Now, if you're a literal new player or returnee, maybe you own Changli, you can play Shopkeeper, Changli, and Aemeath. This is my current team. This is kind of my favorite team to play with her. I don't have the best team, and yet they still perform. And I even done the test run for the F2P team. I'm telling you, Jansin, she gave buff on the Resonance Liberation for Aemeath. So these teams work quite decently. Of course, you can use any other supports. It doesn't need to be Mornye. And I believe Shortkeep would actually do better than Mornye in this case, because the reason I didn't get 3-star clear here is the lack of crit rate my Aemeath has.
The savior rises.
Brother,
But what's crazy is that Aemeath does so much damage from Jansin's buff. Although I do have S2 Jansin, and that allows me to build the Consider Energy faster and then switch to Aemeath immediately, right? But this is what my Jansin looks like. So just imagine what your Jansin can do if you actually build her properly. With a lot more crit damage, with some consistent crit rate, with actually upgrading her basic attack, heavy attack, her skill, and forte. I did not do any of that. So yeah, I wholeheartedly believe Aemeath is going to be one of those units that will last 4 years, considering the last Sentinel, Cartethyia, we got is still one of the best units in the game. But I believe Aemeath is just better in a lot of ways, and I'm crazy with Cartethyia, okay? I have Res 3, that says a lot. But I think Aemeath is just better, especially in terms of exploration, and that is just a fact. Hope you enjoy watching this video. I wanted to make it sooner, but here it is. If you like it and think it's helpful, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.